and I reflect and think about what are the major challenges in the 21st century, I would argue that looking back in the past 10-15 years, that lack of awareness is probably, or lack of present awareness, this is how I usually refer to it, is one of the most foundational one of the major ones, because it is a driver of so many other things. When I talk about achieving a state of a high performance mindset, there is these three pillars. There is awareness, becoming aware, being connected to the present moment. And unfortunately, in my experience, and also when I was looking at studies, how to put some numbers behind this, how bad is it? Usually it is the case that most people are unfortunately in a state of a low level, relatively low level of present awareness. So let's say on the order LPA, level of present awareness, is the time of the day where you're fully connected to the present moment. And usually when I start working with leaders, entrepreneurs, founders and so on, their level is somewhere between 2 or 3%. And so that is the majority of what I experienced there. And then I looked also at, for instance, studies to get a little bit broader, like large numbers, and see, is there something that can point me to how much awareness is actually there. And one of the things I found, which I thought is really it's a bigger study, clinical study, and they were looking at basically vitamin D and vitamin D levels in the populations, and that has been done in different countries in parallel. So they did look at what are vitamin D levels, and are they in optimal state, are they more in a suboptimal state, and then they're looking at, okay, let's look, let's say Germany, Austria, and so on, and pretty much many countries did this study for vitamin D. And what you would see there in the studies, and this is what the interesting point was when I go back now, what does this vitamin D has to do with awareness, and giving me this indication that awareness is a major problem. Well, what you see is that when you look at these studies, that typically the number of people who have an optimal level of vitamin D in their body, and vitamin D, by the way, is so important. It regulates more than 2,000 genes. If there is appropriate levels in your body, then it can do really groundbreaking work and support your health. So that is the case. But unfortunately, about 10% have optimal levels, and then the rest, 70 to 90%, are somewhere below in the suboptimal range, pretty much. And that is for me a sign that even on a broader scale, awareness is a problem. And why is that the case? Well, think about it. Vitamin D, optimizing your vitamin D, first of all, you have to become aware that vitamin D is essential, or it's important, and this you can learn. There's so many blogs out there and knowledge around on health topics. Even on my side, I talk about these things a lot. And vitamin D resources you'll find, there's functional medicine doctors and so on, people who can help you explain it, share the details, the knowledge, but also how to optimize it and so on. But first of all, you have to become aware. And if you're not aware that vitamin D, for instance, is important, you make this basically this decision, is it important or is it not important? You need to create also some focus there and keep this awareness on vitamin D for a little bit longer than just a second, right? Becoming aware of vitamin D now when I talk about it, and then forget about it after the video, that is not awareness, right? There is awareness means, oh, Reiner talked about vitamin D, this is important. Awareness would say, let's explore this. Is it really the case, what he's talking about? And then you start a process, actually exploring this. And then you learn and say, yeah, that makes sense. It's a fact. It's basically stated in many medical papers, thousands of them. It's clear that this is important. And then you still need awareness now. This is the second part, right? To execute on this. So, what are my own vitamin D levels? Well, let's find out. There is ways to measure this, blood tests, but you have to know how to measure it, so it's a little bit more complex, it's not straightforward. So again, you need to spend some time of your precious time and explore this further, figure out how to measure it. Then you may realize, oh yeah, it's too low, because I'm exactly in this 90% part of the population where it's too low. But now I became aware it is something I should probably do better, I can do better on. Let's do it, let's become better, let's figure out how to fill it up. You may work with a functional medicine doctor, or you may work with an epigenetic coach like myself, right? And figuring out how to get it up to good level, so you do it for yourself. But usually I recommend working with someone who is experienced in this field. But nevertheless, let's say you do that, whatever means you're working on to improve your vitamin D levels, and at the end of the day, if you did it properly, hopefully you're at a level now that is considered optimal. And then again you need awareness, because if you stop doing what you're doing, your vitamin D levels again will drop relatively fast. Within a month or two, you're back to where you were before, most likely. And so you can see there is a lot of awareness that goes into vitamin D optimization, and the studies clearly tells us that only a small fraction of the population is able to manage these vitamin D levels at optimal level, like 10%, right? And that's why I see lack of awareness is one of the big problems of this century, and it has so many ramifications, because if you're not aware, usually it has major aspects on when you work, for instance, in the organizational context. Limited awareness, usually in terms of leadership, is not a good thing. You wouldn't get really great results as a leader. Limited awareness usually results in all kinds of problems in the organization. It can result in toxic work environments and so on. I experienced all that stuff, and I know what limited awareness and part of leadership can lead to. And I talked about a lot. There's videos, there's articles on my blog, so there's major impact on limited awareness there. But also limited awareness has a potentially substantial impact on your health and well-being. What I just talked about, this example with vitamin D, is just one example. But there's plenty of other things that you have to do to stay healthy and stay in a state of a high-performance mindset. Means upgrading mind and body. And that, again, this is the driver for achieving a state of a high-performance mindset. And I encourage you to explore this topic of a high-performance mindset. There's more videos, again, on my YouTube channel on this, what it is and why is it good, and how you can get going there. So lots of stuff out there. But the underlying driver to achieve this state of a high-performance mindset is awareness. So back again to awareness. This is so important, and unfortunately there is not a lot there these days. But I'm usually an optimist. That means that I see that from some of the data in the past 10-15 years, I see an increase. It looks like it's a linear increase in awareness on this planet. So that is great, and you can see this, for instance, yourself, right? There's, of course, what is the data here? Look at the mindfulness industry. Mindfulness now is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And 10 years ago, it was just, or 15 years even, it was like a little thing on the side, little side effect, some esoteric stuff, maybe what people were thinking it falls into this category. But then people realize, oh no, it's not. It's there's science there. It's real stuff. And then the industry evolved, and now it's large. And you can see people using mindfulness, whatever methods in there are using it, meditation, some exercises, and so on. It helps to cultivate more awareness. So that means if the industry is growing fast, that means also people at the end of the day, applying these techniques and becoming more mindful, becoming more aware. And that's why I think there is a reason also for being optimistic here. Nevertheless, I think it is one of the biggest challenge, and if you're listening here now to this video, something probably draw you into watching it, whatever the reason was, curiosity, whatever. I think the takeaway you should ask yourself, is awareness something that you cultivate in your life? Is there a sufficient level of awareness? And what are you doing to actually work on increasing your level of present awareness? Do you actually know how to measure it? So those are all good questions to follow up on, and there are more resources on my YouTube channel and blog. I encourage you to check it out. But become aware that awareness is critical, and it can help you in a variety of different ways you can't even anticipate right now. But become aware. I think that is the message here.